Hey there everybody, it's Stacy. I'm back on a Sunday starting with my new schedule and I'm so happy to see you guys. I usually talk about foods that are really common, vegetables and fruits and high quality protein to make sure that you're eating a nutrient diverse, nutrient dense and high quality diet. Today, I thought I would talk about some ingredients that are much less common, but there is a method to my madness. There is a reason behind each of these sort of uncommon or less known ingredients. So one of my favorite things to eat, and I normally tell people that it is never good to eat the same thing every single day. We always want to change up our routines because when we get in that rut of eating the same thing every day, then we are risking not getting all the different nutrients that our bodies need. If you're eating the same thing every day, then you might miss out on something. But I have to say, making a smoothie is one of the things that I actually might go against my rule of thumb, and that's because you can add so many different ingredients to a smoothie and you can really pack in some nutrients that you wouldn't normally get at higher doses from food. So I actually do recommend having smoothies quite often, but just changing up some of the ingredients. So as I talk about many of the ingredients that I'm going to focus on today, you'll notice that a lot of them are perfect for a smoothie, and I'm going to explain to you each one in particular. So starting with the base of my smoothie, it's normally a green vegetable. So I use kale or spinach or any type of green leafy vegetable. I promise you that by the time the smoothie is done, it is not going to taste like this green vegetable. So whichever lettuce you choose is fine. And my rule of thumb when making smoothies is never put more into a one day's serving than you would put on a plate to eat. Because some people think we're load up on lots and lots of greens. You can blend them together and they really shrink down into a much smaller amount. So it feels like you can consume a significant amount of these green vegetables. And it is good, but I wouldn't recommend going more than what you would eat on a plate. Because any nutrient that we eat in excess is usually not good. We don't want to go overboard. There are positives and negatives with every single nutrient, and if we are going to push something more than a normal serving size, then you are risking that getting too much of one thing is just not good. So keep that in mind as a rule of thumb when you're making a smoothie for after workout or something like that. Don't go overboard. Make just the amount that you would put on a plate and eat rather than an excessive amount. So the green leafy vegetable adds those great antioxidants. Kale and some of the other ones are cruciferous vegetables, which have the particular benefit of protecting against certain types of breast cancer. They help you eliminate hormones from your body in a very healthy, protective way so that you have less risk of certain types of long-term conditions. So really great way to begin as a base for the smoothie. Some other things I'm going to talk about next, I have to put back in the freezer, so I'm going to go in that order. I like adding frozen berries because you want to make your smoothie cold. So having these frozen berries, not only does it keep the smoothie cold, but they don't go bad in the freezer. Berries can get mold pretty quickly. So by keeping them in the freezer, they last a lot longer, and berries are so especially healthy for you. Again, all the antioxidants, all the different vitamins that you get from each color is a different vitamin. So the strawberry is a different vitamin than a blueberry. So the bigger combination of berries that you can get, the better. Again, follow that rule of thumb that I mentioned before. Only put a handful. Don't go overboard. Don't put more than what you would eat in a serving size because excess of anything is usually not good. I'm going to stick this back in the freezer. The next ingredient that I keep in the freezer, and that's why I'm going to talk about it next because I want to put it back, is I love whole organic flax seeds. Don't eat them whole, but you buy them whole and you store them in the freezer. So flax seeds have so many benefits. Number one, they're a great source of fiber. They really help your digestion. They feed the good bacteria in your gut, which is always a positive because the bacteria in your gut are responsible for your immune system, your mood, your digestion, so many different things. So the fiber is a great plus from the flax seeds, and I recommend trying to consume 1 to 2 tablespoons of flax seeds every single day. I recommend that to almost everyone, depending on, there are always, unique situations, individuals that don't tolerate these types of foods, but for the most part, 1 to 2 tablespoons. So you buy them whole and organic, you store them in the freezer, and grind them in a really inexpensive coffee maker, just like this, and then keep the ground flax seeds in small batches in the refrigerator in glass container. I always try to use glass instead of plastic. But the reason that I go through this process is because flax seeds have the precursors that turn into omega-3 fatty acids in your body. Omega-3 fatty acids are essential for anti-inflammation, for brain function. Omega-3 fatty acids is what you get when you eat fish. So fatty fish like salmon and tuna and mackerel, they're really high in omega-3 fatty acids, and flax seeds have the precursors to that. However, if you grind them and leave them out, or if you purchase them already ground, then it's very likely that those omega-3 fatty acids have been oxidized, and you will no longer get the benefit of those fatty acids. So keep them whole in the freezer, grind them in a coffee grinder, and then keep the ground flax seeds in a tight sealed container in the refrigerator, and keep them in only small batches so that you can finish them up in a couple of days and then make a new batch. So I'm going to stick this back in the freezer and the refrigerator so that I don't have to leave them out for the whole time that we're talking. Give me 1 second, coming back. Okay, so just so far what we've gone through is that my smoothie starts with a base of a green vegetable. Don't put more than what you would put on a normal serving size on a plate. Frozen berries and ground flax seeds that are kept whole in the freezer, and then once you grind them, keep them in the refrigerator. So far we've already gotten ingredients that are good for your immune function, for anti-inflammatory reasons, and even some for your brain function and your digestion. So we're really on a roll here with how healthy you can make this meal as a breakfast or a lunch or even a snack. For after workout is a good option too. And I'm going to get into some of the ideas for protein and things like that for muscle building as well. But as we keep going along, this is another one that I keep in the refrigerator, so I'm going to put it back in a second. But this is my favorite brand of nut milk. I personally am dairy free, and there are many people who do have to avoid dairy for various reasons. So nut milk is a really great option. The reason I like this brand in particular, it's called Elmhurst, and they sell it right at Publix. It is kosher. The reason I love it is because I always teach this. When you look at the ingredient list, look for a food that only contains the ingredients that you are trying to consume. So this here is walnut milk. You look at the ingredients, the only thing in here is walnuts and water. So there's no added preservatives or additives or ingredients, sugar, nothing that you wouldn't want if you're just looking to consume nut milk. You just want nuts, right? So love this as a base. And then the other liquid base that I use instead of water is I do use some juices, vegetable and fruit juices. I don't recommend drinking juice as a regular part of your day, because when you make juice, you're really squeezing out the liquid and the sugar from whatever fruit or vegetable that you're eating, and you're throwing away all the fiber. So I don't really love that idea, because the fiber is so important, and it also, fiber, will then, the combination of it all will just have less sugar, rather than when you're drinking the juice. But as a liquid base for my smoothie, it's fine for me, I think, especially when I choose the juices that are much higher in vegetables and less fruit. I especially love this brand, Suja, which is also sold right at Publix. Trader Joe's has a great one. Just look through the ingredients, and when you see that it contains many vegetables and maybe just one fruit, you're gonna get a little less sugar that way. So I do recommend those. So the combination of liquids that we're gonna put in my smoothie is that nut milk that we talked about with just the one ingredient, and some really healthy vegetable juices with low amounts of sugar. That's what I would look for when you're choosing juices. I'm gonna stick those back in the refrigerator and move on to all these random ingredients here that are really important for all different reasons. Number one, to sweeten and add a delicious taste to the smoothie, I add one of these organic medjool dates. Dates are really good for your bone health. They are also high in fiber and a healthy anti-inflammatory food. Eating one date a day is a great way to help you stay regular, help you have healthy bowel movements, and like I said, it's even good for your bones and your hormones. There are some very interesting ingredients in dates that are healthy for several different reasons. So I highly recommend, not to mention it as an amazing sweet taste to the smoothie as well. So moving on, the other things that I add to my smoothie for flavor are, I add some cinnamon. Did you know that cinnamon helps with regulating blood sugar? So regulating blood sugar, cinnamon can also help with lowering blood pressure. So cinnamon is a really healthy ingredient. I really like the one in particular called Cacao cinnamon, and I buy it organic, and I add it to so many foods. It's a really healthy ingredient. Also for flavor, I add extracts. So whether you like almond or vanilla, the other idea is peppermint. And the reason for that is I'm gonna be adding some ingredients to add that chocolate flavor, and the chocolate and peppermint together, you can make a smoothie that's mint chocolate, which is one of my favorite ingredients, one of my favorite flavors, and growing up, mint chocolate chip was always my favorite flavor of ice cream. So that's what I'm trying to mimic here with the smoothie. I add a tablespoon of almond butter, and the way to pick the best almond butter is to, again, follow those instructions that I provided before, where you look at the ingredients and make sure that the only ingredient in the almond butter is almonds, or whatever nut that you like. If you like pecan butter or cashew butter, just check out the ingredients and make sure there's no added sugar, there's no added preservatives, anything other than the nut that you're trying to consume. This one in particular is from Trader Joe's, but they definitely have one at Publix, same thing. Just look, and this is a really good rule of thumb for most of the foods that you buy in packages, is always look at the ingredients and make sure that you know what every single ingredient is. They're all whole foods. They are not preservatives, additives, or additional sugar that you are not trying to consume. So a tablespoon of that nut butter is another addition that I add to the smoothie. I'll review all of this again at the end if you missed any parts of this, but I'm just basically going through how nutrient dense you can make a smoothie. I'm adding specific ingredients that are not only good for immune function, but also brain function and and keeping you stronger. As we get older, two of the things that we need to focus on most is keeping lean body mass, which is muscle, and keeping our cognition, so inhibiting or preventing cognitive decline. So that's where that brings me to this very special ingredient. This one is called Lion's Mane Mushroom Powder. So lions, just like the animal, Lion''S, mane, M-A-N-E. This particular ingredient has been shown to reduce the cognitive decline that is seen in dementia and Alzheimer's. So I add, it's just in this one particular brand, which is Real Mushrooms. You can find some other brands, and if you want me to recommend other ones, I can, or you wanted to send one to me and see if that one's appropriate, feel free to do that, and I'm happy to help. But this one is called Real Mushrooms, Lion's Mane, and it says it right here on the package, Cognition. And I add a half a teaspoon every day to my smoothie. I recommend it to so many of my patients. As we are getting older, this is a really great ingredient to maintain good brain function. Same thing with this really popular ingredient, MCT oil. So many people talk about MCT oil nowadays because the ketogenic diet seems to be all the craze, right? And adding this type of, it's called medium chain triglycerides. That's what MCT stands for. People on a ketogenic diet will add it to a lot of their foods because they are trying to eat as much fat as possible. In a ketogenic diet, people are trying to shift their body from using sugar and carbohydrates for energy to using fat for energy. So they try to eat as much fat as possible and reduce their sugar and carbohydrate and even protein intake. So MCT oil is one of the things you'll hear them talking about often. They add it to their coffee, they add it to even some of their foods. It's not for cooking, but they will add it to lots of things to increase their fat intake. However, what they're also not realizing, or maybe they do, is that MCT oil is also beneficial for brain function. Because it's the words medium chain triglyceride, all that means is that the fat is in shorter pieces and much more easy for your brain to quickly use as energy, because bigger, larger chain fats have to get digested and they have to go through a whole nother process before fat is able to get to your brain. But when it's in the form of MCT oil, your brain can immediately use it for energy. So the two ingredients that I add to this smoothie for brain cognition function is the Lion's Mane mushroom powder and the MCT oil. And I also mentioned before the flax seeds. That has the precursors for omega-3 fatty acids, and that is really good for brain function as well. So as a reminder, buy the flax seeds whole, grind them in a coffee grinder, keep the whole seeds in the freezer and the ground seeds in a small container in the refrigerator to protect the fatty acids that are necessary for brain function. Okay, I know I'm giving lots of information right now, but please feel free to ask me questions, write to me, send to me an email. My email address is stacy.seslowski@jca.org, or you can write me on Facebook. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are on everything that I'm showing you so far, and questions or things you want me to go over in the future. I'm really looking forward to some football Sundays and some healthy football snacks, but that'll be coming up in a few weeks. Okay, further along, as I continue with my smoothie, another ingredient that is also really great for brain function, also really powerful antioxidant, is cacao powder. So this is cacao powder, and yep, it's it's basically cocoa, like chocolate. It has a chocolate flavor. There's no added sugar. I buy this organic cacao powder. This doesn't have to be the brands that you buy, but you can order it on Amazon. They sell it in Publix. I love the flavor of chocolate, so any opportunity that I have to use this, I will. You could also buy it in the form of nibs, which are these, I'll open it up and show you. They're like little pieces of crunchy, can you see that? They're like really crunchy pieces. I wouldn't recommend eating them as a snack. They're actually too crunchy and they don't have like a very good flavor just on their own, but they really add an amazing chocolate flavor to the smoothie. And again, they're also really high in those antioxidants. Did you know that the type of antioxidant that is found in cacao is the same antioxidant that is found in green tea and also pomegranate? So have you heard that, and I even have pomegranate extract right here. Bulk Supplements is a place that I order a lot of less expensive when I want to get something in a much bigger size. They have all kinds of powders and remedies for lots of different things, spices and stuff, and they come in much bigger sizes, and so they're a little less expensive when you buy them in bulk like that. So Bulk Supplements, this one is pomegranate extract. So pomegranate, you can also get matcha tea, and that's this one. This is the matcha tea, also from Bulk Supplements. So you can really like go onto that website, bulksupplements.com, and just look around and see some of the options that are available, because you might find things that you're buying in much smaller containers at the supermarket, and you can get them in really big sizes for less expensive. So these are some of the ingredients that I add that all have that really healthy antioxidant. So this is the pomegranate, this is the cacao powder, cacao nibs, and this is the green tea or matcha powder. And they all have that really healthy antioxidants called ellagic extract, and I could type that to you as well if you want to ask me more questions about that. Very healthy, very good for brain function, antioxidant, good for blood pressure, all those kind of things. So these are some of the more really random ingredients that I add to my smoothie that you may not hear about, that are not included in most recipes that you look through over the internet. You really have to. A lot of people that will eat these things are the ones that are really studying research and science and learning these very specific ingredients that are necessary for good brain function, preventing cognitive decline, keeping your body healthy with low blood pressure, preventing cancer with the antioxidants and the anti-inflammatories. So some random ones. You don't have to use all of them, but every once in a while you may want to experiment with a couple of them and see how they make you feel. Okay. I talked about my flax seeds. Let me just check on my time. Okay. I talked about my flax seeds. Another seed that I like to use a lot of is chia seeds. And the chia seeds you can actually already buy ground, or they will, if you buy them whole, then they'll grind up as you're blending the smoothie. So either way, you're gonna end up eating them ground, and that's really the best way to eat them. But it's okay, unlike the flax seeds that you wanna buy whole and save them until you're about to eat them, that's when you grind them. The chia seeds you can grind in advance and nothing's going to change that ingredient over time. So you can grind that in advance, but that is how you want to eat it, ground. And chia seeds are also have that precursor for the omega-3 fatty acid, just like I said with the flax seeds. And they also have the fiber that's really good for digestion. So you're good there. And then my last recommendation is for those of you who are really focused on maintaining lean body mass, and as we get older, we all should be, because a condition called sarcopenia is one of the most prevalent conditions for older people, and that is where we're starting to lose muscle mass. You might hear the similarity in the word to osteopenia, which is your loss of bone. So sarcopenia is your loss of muscle. And by improving our protein intake is how we can, and of course, keeping good fitness and going to the working out and you know, lifting weights, and that of course that's part of keeping good muscle mass, but also improving or increasing your protein intake. As we get older, our requirement for protein increases. So some options are to add collagen peptides. This is a whey protein powder that you can add to the smoothie to increase the level of protein. Collagen is also really good for our skin and our hair. It's really what keeps everything intact. I would say though that if you are the type of person who suffers from any type of constipation, collagen peptides could push you more in that direction, because like I said, it's for keeping your membranes intact. It keeps things bound together. It may lead you, if you are the person that tends towards constipation, I wouldn't say having collagen powder every single day is the right way to go. So keep that in mind. It is a good protein powder to add to your smoothie to increase the protein amount of the drink. But like I said, if you're in that tendency, if you shift towards that direction of constipation, then collagen powder may not be the way to go. In that situation, then you may just want to find this. I almost am hesitant to recommend this because it's not found easily, but this is one of my favorite protein powders. If you're interested in a list of protein powders, please contact me. I will absolutely share with you where and what type of protein powder is best. There's just so many on the market and it can get really confusing. So let me know and I would love to help you out. So I hope you enjoyed that really long explanation of how I make my smoothie. Like I said in the very beginning, it's one of the things that I do recommend eating more regularly, as opposed to most foods where I say to try to change it up all the time. With a smoothie, I feel like you can really just change up some of the ingredients, but it is so nutrient dense that I'm happy if you can get that in on many days of the week. So we started with the base of the kale that I talked about. The liquids that I added were the nut milk with only nuts in the ingredients and vegetable juice with only vegetables in the ingredient. We talked about my frozen berries and this amazing organic dates. To add sweetness, dates are good for your bones and your hormones, and fiber, so that's good for your digestion. For brain health, we talked about lion's mane mushroom, some cacao powder, cacao nibs, and pomegranate powder, and also matcha powder. All of those really good for brain health, as well as the MCT oil and ground flax seeds. Then we talked about some ground chia seeds, and all of my different extracts here to add some flavor, either vanilla, almond, peppermint, and the cinnamon, which is really good for blood pressure and blood sugar regulation. And then we talked about some protein powders, because as we age, some of the things we really want to focus on is inhibiting cognitive decline and muscle loss. So I hope you found today valuable to you. Please respond or comment or write to me even privately. I would love to hear your thoughts, and have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. I'm also available for nutrition, individual and group nutrition services. So look at the JCA website under fitness and wellness, and you'll find nutrition services. I'd love to meet you individually or in small groups to help you as much as I can. Have a great week, everybody, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.